Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. A Professor Sunreis Productions!
Hello class, Professor Sunreis here. In today's class we're taking a look at a few of Horus Bystial test hands, so just sit back, relax, and I will just be going over a few combo lines with this beautiful deck and just give you my thought process. I won't be playing into hand traps because I think this is just too unrealistic to do in like a test hand scenario, especially because we have talents and sometimes our hands are just better if we get hit by a low impact hand trap. So we'll just be going over a few choke points of hand traps, what would happen if we get Ash, Nipped, Imperm here, whatever, what the extension is, what the out is, etc, etc. So without further ado, don't forget to seal pass on the subscribe button, leave some feedback down in the comment section below, and let's get right into the video. So before we go into actual combos, quick things, I will put the list here onto the screen. But what I did do is I put in the Quebec Sunev or whatever it's called as the second Horus target because it is a winged beast, so you can go into Ramrus with it. I figured that was the best thing which we could do. And in the extra deck, I would like to cut this Chaos Angel for a Typhoon, like the new XDs, because I feel like this could come up plenty of times, maybe even a Zeus for going second pushes. Who knows, but probably some similar slot for all of those, like Chaos Angel. They all do a very similar thing. They all do cheesy stuff in very niche scenarios. Chaos Angel probably the one you will summon the most, but would it actually, like, could you win otherwise? You probably could, but let's not waste too much time on that and quickly shuffle this bad boy up. And let's do a quick cut here somewhere, I don't fucking know, and draw 5. So that's lots of non-engine, and that's also just a very hard brick, but sometimes you just brick on non-engine, right? Let's put those on the bottom and draw here. So this one is an Mseti, so let's quickly swap that out for your viewing pleasure. Yeah, we get the Mseti, and this is like a very broken hand. You can already tell this hand is completely stacked. How would I play it out? Depends on if it's game 1 or game 3. We do have the ability to go Mseti, pitch the Resonator. The problem is if we get hit on a draw with the Mseti, we cannot resolve the Resonator anymore. And if we don't do it like that, we have the ability to summon Mseti if we get rolled, summon Vision Resonator, at least make it roll or something. So we do have that play. Also getting the Nip into the graveyard is really, really good very early on because of the Chillhop Serpent, and also we kind of want to use 2 discards for this anyway, so I think Mseti pitch the Nip here is definitely the best thing to do. If we get Ash on this, that would be super fun, right? Because we could just use Chaos Base, pitch Vision Resonator, search Lubellion, then we have full combo, full everything. But let's just play it out. So we will be searching a King Sarcophagus. I'm starting to learn to say King Sarcophagus to it and not Gold Sarcophagus anymore. Also, for your viewing pleasure, I did swap out the things here a little bit. Should be a little better to look at. So we did get the King Sarcophagus, and then we get another draw, a randomly. That's like a decent draw, I guess. How would we continue here? I would, let's think about how much we can get out of the deck before we mill. The only thing which I realistically care about getting out of the deck before we mill is a regain. And we currently don't have a way to get to that unless we would use Chaos Base, pitch the Vision Resonator, which I think is actually a fine play. So I think I would use Chaos Base, pitch the Vision Resonator, add Lubellion, effect Vision Resonator, activate, or search rather, Crimson Gaia. Let's put Crimson Gaia as far away as possible because they will definitely annoy us. And then Crimson Gaia, effect to search the Vision Resonator. Now let's see how we want to play this. Of course, we would activate the Lubellion and search a Magnamon. So now it's safe to assume if we went this far, there's never going to be a moment where we get Ash. So we shouldn't be scared about going for the Seal Tribute Summon line. We have to be careful if they only have an Ash, they might want to save it for a Seal, but I don't think that's... Usually that used to be a way to play against Strangling, but if they activate an Mseti, you better Ash that, right? So I don't think we have to care about an Ash here anymore. So what we would do next here, we would use Magnamon. Effect Magnamon here, Then we would go for the Libellion. Effect Libellion. If the Libellion gets not Imperm or Veiler tier, there is never gonna be an Imperm or Veiler. That's definitely 100% the best thing you could do against our deck. So we got that out of the way as well. What we can do next here is go for King Sarcophagus and get out the Mseti. And now we have 2 lines of play. What I really like about the Winged Beast now is that we can... this is a play you do a lot anyways, because you want to get the Libellion out as soon as possible, and it's much better to use the Libellion on the board for the Zombie Vampire than to have it just laying out there randomly. So we have 2 options now. We could go either for a Zombie Vampire, or we could go for a Summon Vision Resonator, make a Baron, and just play our complete combo on the Baron. When I like to do that is actually we can go for both, right? So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4th summon, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can actually make the full combo under Baron. And we can do that because this is very risky. We already checked for 2 hand traps basically in the form of Vader and in the form of Nib, in the form of Imperm. So we probably don't need the Baron. But it's still a very safe thing to do. Maybe they have Nib Imperm, for example. Baron doesn't necessarily help with that, but it does help a little bit with it. At least forces out both. But I still think it's a fine play to do, because you never know what you're up against. For example, a Bystial probably would have also come out, so you don't need to do this, but it's definitely a very feel-good, feel-safe play to do. And I think this is a very good call to make, because we still have the Chillhop Serpent in hand. So even if we somehow miss the mill with our Zombie Vampire, we still should have enough resources to just completely gas through everything here. So we use King Sarcophagus, pitch the Red MD. That's a little annoying, but it's definitely fine. Like I said, we don't have to go for this play necessarily, but it's just a very safe play. But like I said, I think a lot of the low impact hand traps would have come out here by now. So we summon the Quebec Seth and go for the Zombie Vampire. Let's quickly shuffle up our deck. I will only take into consideration our own mills. Of course, Baron can also randomly hit like a very important thing, which they mill. I doubt there will be something which we'd care enough about, but I think it's just a very safe thing to do. And let's mill the Libellions, because it's a light for a potential Chaos Summon. And let's mill 4. We hit the Weather Burst, so that's annoying. We hit the Ravine, that's annoying. That's a good mill. And Samsara also a good mill. Overall, I would say this is definitely a fine mill. Because you have Regained plus Chaos Base, those are both fine. The Ravine sucks because this means we cannot get Levy back into the rotation. So that's a little annoying, but we still get lots of resources. We probably will summon, it doesn't really matter. Just gonna be turned into a seal anyways. Summon the Ringer Worm here. Now we summon the Chillhop Serpent, banish the white, trigger, I guess, the Chaos Base. Yes. Draw 1, we draw a Libellion, that's fine. So if we can get into a Safred on the field somehow, we could get to that. We probably don't have the ability to do so, but that's fine. We already have a plethora of dark monsters, so we don't need to waste the Striker Dragon here. And then we can go for a seal effect, get that, shuffle the deck up. I'm not gonna lie, this hand gets kind of nutted on by the fact that we did mill our Ravine, but that's totally fine. Sometimes this just happens. But we can just use the Wyver Burster now, probably on the Chillhop Serpent. Yes, use it on the Chillhop Serpent. Then use the Regained to draw 1. We did draw a Safred, and we haven't normaled yet, right? We haven't normaled, so we can still actually go for a nasty amount of plays because we were lucky. And we also had the ability to like Samsara at Redemdy and do something. Probably didn't need to do that. So let's just go for a Masquerena here. Effect at that. And then we can go for the Safred effect at the Levy. I think I went past it. Nope. Yeah, I did. Yeah, there it is. At the Levy. And then summon the Levy. And then banish 1, banish 2, banish 3. Effect Levy to hand trip. And then lastly, effect to summon a token. Let's quickly put that here, and then we can use the token and the Levy to go into a Dissipator. And then we can end on this probably. We could also use the Samsara to add back a Magnamut tribute summon that over here. We could have made an Omega. Yeah, I guess we could still want to do that. So we probably use the Dissipator, summon back the Resonator. And then we use the Samsara to target the Magnamut. Add that, get the Magnamut onto the board. We can tribute summon over Seal, but what else would we want to get out of the deck here? There's nothing valuable in there. And then we make the Omega and Omega hand loop as well. So we got basically the full combo of Omega hand loop 1, Levy hand loop 2, and then we have Seal Masquerade. Plus we got even all of the Dissipator, like both of the Synchrotans here. We do have an end phase at Drew's Worm. So that's basically full combo. As you saw, yeah, and Ash on the Mcetti would have done something, but we 100% could have played through that because we had like a very gassy hand, and the whole combo was played under a Baron. So a lot of times things could have gone south. We would have had a Baron to at least still trade 1-for-1 with the opponent there at some point. Probably would have gotten at least one of the hand loops through then. So there's a lot of hand loops going around in this scenario. Of course, we got a little lucky with drawing a Save It, but we also got unlucky with milling a Dragon Ravine and a Wyver Burster, so these could have been 2 cards which we would have gotten for free, basically. So overall, I think this is a very realistic scenario of what things, how things go down when you go first. And as you can see, the deck is super explosive, can play through a lot of disruption, has very clear choke points for hand traps where they basically have to use them because it's just so hard. Like I said, Vader, Imperm on Dubellion, Ash, and Mcetti Chaos Base, where you can just be sure that the opponent won't have it afterwards, and then you can freely combo on. Let's do one more test hand here. I thought about doing 3 depending on how fast they go. Quickly cycle through, quickly pile shuffle through the deck so that we have a somewhat realistic scenario. Let's hope we don't brick on non-engine. It's crazy how you brick on non-engine by playing only 9, then you just don't draw any at all. You probably all have been there. So quickly do some cutting and let's see what we draw here. This is a cute hand. This is a very decent hand. We would definitely start out with a Rebellion here. If we get Magnamuted, if we get rolled here, we have the ability to... I mean, we don't do any immediate searching here anyways, right? So a draw here would actually be very fine, especially because we have a Droplet to do something nasty. We can use Ceremony here on the Lubellion. And then normal summon the Ringo Worm. Quickly think if we want to go for like a very early Omega or a Baron here. Because we could go Omega and just hand loop for 1. Then we have a Ceremony, have a Lubellion in there as well. We can Magnamut. And then do an Axel afterwards or just make a Dissipator. And in the end we can choose for a Levy. That is probably the play I would go for if we get rolled here. And we already got through 1 hand trap. We can also just make a Baron, send that, make the Lubellion, trigger the Lubellion, make this, then make a Dissipator, summon back, and make a Seal. Honestly, I think I just like the Omega line better. We will do both, actually. So let's save this one here, because I'm also just exploring the deck, right? Normal summon Ringo Worm lines going first are probably not the ones which happen all too often. So let's save this game state here and go back to it later and see how both things happen. So we go for an Omega, trigger the Serenia. And we can also just keep Omega onto the board to play around in it, but because we haven't played into a nip here, actually, I think it's super fine just to go for that. Where is the Rebellion? Only reason I go for this line over the Baron line and just do like a mediocre combo under Baron is because we already have a Levy, so we can realistically hand loop for 3 plus Seal, for example, and really catch people off guard. So we use the Omega here. If we snipe a nip, we are super happy. That's our 3rd summon. Effect Magnamut. Problem is, if we go for this, that's the 3rd summon, 4th summon. Baron would be 5 summons, so we would get that. But let's just continue here. Effect Magnamut to banish that effect. Effect of the Rebellion to get the regained. Where is it? There it is. And then we use Ringo. Get a token. Probably want to use Ringo here for the regained. Yes. Because we don't have a guaranteed way to get into it. We draw a King Sarcophagus. That is a decent draw here. This might change things up. We can go for Dissipator, summon back the Omega, effect Omega again, but then we don't have enough resources to continue off. We could just make a Baron, and then King Sarcophagus pitch both of those and go for a random mill and hope we hit something. There are a lot of hits there, but that seems a little too risky. If we didn't draw this one here, what would the play be? Would probably be summon Saronia, make a seal, and then Levy hand rip. So the King Sarcophagus definitely helped here. But I noticed that the Omega line here definitely wasn't the call, and we probably should have just gone for a Baron line because we are lacking darks for the Levy, unless we draw something good here. So this is definitely a very risky line you probably shouldn't go for. So what I would do here is make a Baron. Use King Sarcophagus 2 times. Mill Imseti. And mill the Quebec-Sunef. Summon both of them out. Make Zombie Vampire and effect Zombie Vampire. Mill the, put the Imseti down. Let's quickly do some shuffling and let's mill. Red MD is already a good one. And triple thrust, triple talent. So we get the Red MD. And then effect Red MD, get that. We are lacking a card in hand for a Ravine plate to get the Levy back. So probably just go for like a seal here. This is definitely not an ideal point. Let's quickly rewind back and see how things would play out if we would have gone for a very early Baron. So reverted back, I think they were different positions, but it doesn't really matter. Let's do a Baron here and see how things would change. Effect of the Saronia. Sends the Lubellion, of course. We try to disregard the draw because the draw could change a lot of things, of course. And then we go for Magnamut on that. Effect Lubellion. Get the regained. Then we use this. Get a token. We probably, yeah, I think the best play here is probably make Dissipator. Dissipator summon back Saronia. And then we make a seal. And then Levy hand trip, or we make Romulus because Romulus could still, oh yeah. No, because we don't have that. But Romulus could summon a Seyfert or a Red MD, make another. I think it's just Romulus so we can get through it. Because we can just turn this into a seal as well. But I think this is just the safest play you could go for. And then use the Levy to recycle, to banish 3 here. It sucks a little to hit the Dissipator. But we said we have to do it. We can recycle the Magnamut. Banish those. Draw a card, another droplet. We hand loop for 1. We make a seal. We could, in theory, send something with Ravine here, but I don't think there's anything worthwhile. And we set 1. And then we have Seal, Baron, Levy, Hand Trip for 1. We get a Bruise Worm, but that doesn't do a lot. So definitely a very weird line, hand, and it gets carried by a random regain draw. But other than that, there's not a lot you can do. You could also argue to just link this off, go for Striker, but then you lack any meaningful synchro plays, and you don't have the bodies nor the Darks Engraved to get value of the Levy. I feel like this is the safest play you could go for. If you feel like high rolling, you could go for an early Omega and do it similar to how we did it in the first part, but that relied on getting like a good draw, I believe, because otherwise we wouldn't have had a lot, because we would have made 1 Omega and then we had 1 Synchro 10 afterwards, and the Dissipator would have gotten us to a Seal. But at this point you trade a Baron for a random hand loop for 1, so I think it's better to just combo under a Baron to get the random 1 card out of there, because you can decide what to negate with the Baron compared to with the Omega. Of course the Omega can hit more impactful stuff, some stuff float if they get Baron negated, etc, etc. But I feel like playing under a Baron and then having that 1 negate is better than having the random Omega hand loop in there very early on. So let's do one more test hand here and get some nice stuff going. Like I said, I'm still in the learning process of this, so the lines might not all be 100% correct and played out optimally, but this is a learning process. So this hand is broken. This is very similar, in my opinion, almost too similar. Of course, this is an Msetti to the one we had the first, but because the deck is so random in all of the mills that happen, I feel like this is fine to do. So how would I play this one out? I feel like in this one we just have to live with the fact that we will get hit by a droll, unless we use Msetti, pitch Chaos Space. What we could also do is Chaos Space, pitch Resonator. But if we then get rolled, we have literally nothing. So I think because the best play here under droll is Msetti, we have to go with it. Pitching the Resonator definitely is the worst. I guess we pitch a Chillhop Serpent and we try to play without any of the baby dragons. Because then Chaos Space can always pitch this for like Bystial package. Yeah, let's do this. And honestly, let's say we get ashed on this and we take a look at their hand and we know they have nothing left. And just let's combo with these two and see what happens, right? No, this is ass. Let's just continue off. This is too random. This would feel too good here, right? This feels like cheating. I would love to get ashed on this and just play with these. So let's just not do it. And let's just do the old trusty just comboing off here. I think this is the correct play to hit the Chillhop Serpent. We don't need it to play. And because we don't have any lights yet, anyways, I think it is reasonable to do so. We draw a black metal, that's literally insane. Now we would go for Chaos Space, pitch the Resonator. Because we have the ability to get out our get Lobelian, get Crimson Gaia, and get the next Resonator. We have the ability to get the Regain out before, always what we want to be doing here. Now we go for the Lobelian. Search the Magna. Fact Magna, target Vision Resonator. Always good to get this one out in the banish pile so that you can revive it off Dissipator to go for an Omega afterwards. That's definitely helpful. Effects of the Lobelian. Get the Regained. Quickly migrate our hand to the side so that we have space for all of the perma spells. It's definitely unique to have 3 perma spells in your spell trap zone. Hopefully this will never come to be a downside. Probably shouldn't be. Let's get the Msetti out. And we could again here, realistically, because we have all of these draws, we could do a Baron again. But because we have nothing for all of our plays here anyways, I think we just wanna Gamba. Do we have a way to get the Vision Resonator out later? Yes, because we have the Black MD. And if we get hit by an Ash, because we basically check for an Imperm in my opinion, I think it's better to Imperm this probably than to hit the Zombie Vampire. I think there probably won't be an Imperm. It's gonna be a monster hand trip, if any, so let's go for the Zombie Vampire. And mill 4. That's already a good mill. Let's think if you want to have a Sacred here. Just as a random Dragon Body. I guess we could search Wyver Burst. Yeah, I guess we would probably also just search Wyver Burst if we go for it. We could also just get the Resonator out, get the Kubek and make a Baron. I don't think we want to be doing that. Yeah, it's Sacred. It's definitely Sacred. And then we use Sacred here. Search the Wyver Burst. And then use Wyver Burst. Target that. Trigger the Chaos Space. First. Draw 1. That's another talent. That's literally perfect. Because we can use our Sarcophagus now, pitch the talents. It's not perfect, right? Of course, like anything else would be better, but you get the point. We don't feel bad about that. And get the Kubek in there. We can summon the Kubek. Like, look at the darks we have. We already have plenty, so we probably won't be needing to go for a Striker here. 1 Romulus, 2 Wyver Burst. Get Ravine and get Chillhop Serpent. Ravine definitely wants to be sending a Levy in this hand. Let's see what we have. Probably want to make a Seal here. So I think just Chillhop Serpent there. Yeah, that's fine. Chillhop Serpent on the Wyver Burster. Trigger the Regained. Draw 1. Serenia, perfect. So we have a level 6 for Synchro Plays. Make Seal. Trigger that. Search Wyver Burst. Probably still the best thing to pitch here. Yes. Ravine, pitch Wyver Burst, send Levy. And then we use almost some Black Metal. Go into a Striker. Effect Black Metal. Search Red MD. Effect Red MD. To summon Bystial, I guess. Yes, summon a Bystial. Make Masquerena. Now we can summon Vision Resonator. Axel into Baron. Or we make an Omega here and then Levy hand trip, but then we are lacking 1 more tuner. So we use our Sacred at the Levy. And then we summon the Levy. We probably should have saved the Vision Resonator for 1 step later, but that's definitely fine. 1, 2, 3 darks. Levy hand trip for 1. Now we turn those into a Dissipator. Effect Dissipator, summon back the Vision Resonator. That rhymed. Then we make an Omega, and then we Omega hand loop. And we have this endboard again of Omega hand loop, Levy hand loop. So that's 2 hand loop, Dissipator, Masquerena Seal with Drew's Worm in hand. So that's plenty of disruption of that. What's also really cool is that you can use your Bystials to banish lights or darks out of their graveyard. So this Dissipator is a negate. Definitely very helpful, and you would want to do that. But it just doesn't come up in those testing scenarios here. But if you go through with this hand, you basically win no matter what, right? Levy hand loop for 2 plus the amount of follow-up alone is probably enough. It's just unreal. real. And we also had it earlier, right? If we got Ash on the Imseti, we would have had a Talon's Punish. If we get nipped at any turn, those are just basically hand loops at a certain point, because we get so many bodies back. We Talons take a look at their hand. We just continue popping off afterwards. So overall, I think these, while they all were very good hands, and we only had one really mediocre hand, all of those things showcase how this deck is trying to combo off, trying to go into Zombie Vampire, trying to get the Bystials out as the very first thing early, then go into Zombie Vampire, make the Zombie Vampire, hopefully hit a dragon off that, and set up the graveyard. Then you use the other body of the King Sarcophagus, get the Winged Beast, make your Romulus, and afterwards go for all of the dragon plays into Levy, into Ringworm sometimes. Hopefully you had a Resonator on the Zombie Vampire or somewhere else, have it hard draw, and then go for all of the synchro plays with the Bystials, with the Levy, and just do all of those nasty things we just did. And I think this showcased how this deck combos. So hope you guys could learn something from this video. And see how the combos work. Like I said, they are still definitely work in progress, and the combos aren't all perfect, but I think these give you a rough idea of how this deck plays on a very simple basis when going first. Of course, side decking, going second, all of those things are very, very complicated and won't be shown in a video like this, but I think these showcase you guys that this deck is a very, very capable going first deck and has such a good time doing it. It is definitely not like an Ash pass deck, where if the Imseti gets Ash, you just die. All the time we had Imseti in the hand, if we got Ash on that, it would have been fine. We would have had the talents, or we would have had the ability to just continue playing through, because we had like a Chaos Base, Lubelli, and stuff like that. You know it, you name it. Hope you guys enjoyed today's class. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunreis out. Peace.